Hey folks, Matthew Lanigan here with BayWa RE. We're just going to give it another minute, just see quite a few people still signing in. So we'll give it about 2 minutes and we'll be right back with you. Thanks. Hi folks, Matthew Lanigan here again with BayWa RE. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at BayWa. Really appreciate y'all taking time out of your busy day to be with us in polar racking to learn about the new CoreFlex ground mount. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. This will be recorded. It will come out on the monthly newsletter. It will also be available even sooner on our YouTube channel. If you haven't signed up for our YouTube channel, we'd love it if you would. You can see this presentation as well as all the previous ones. We will be doing questions. We'll do them as we go. So you'll notice there's just a little chat box down in the bottom right corner. Maybe if we could just test that in honor of Chris, who is a Flames fan. Just want to ask you all, will the Flames make the playoffs? Oh, resounding no. Once again, continuing education is extremely important to BayWa and our staff, and we're happy to extend that to our customer base. One other thing as well, you'll be able to meet Polar in person at our Vancouver Roadshow in April. So if you're in the area, we'd really love to see you in person as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chris Kennedy with Polar Racking Inc., Sales Manager. Chris?
Thank you so much, Matthew. I appreciate it. There's a lot of people in here, which is really nice. I think there's more people here than there was at my wedding. I'm just firing this up here. So we're here to talk to you today about our updated and newer version of our CoreFlex, which is a small to medium-sized fixed tilt ground mount product. I guess a little background about me. I've been in the solar industry for a few years now. I'm pretty new to Polar, started earlier this year. And before that, I was with a company called Gripple, where we did overground cable management. So I've been in the industry for a while. I'm a Calgary boy, born and raised, now in the hotbed of Alberta, where all of this, solar runoff is starting to take place, which is great. And looking forward to hopefully informing some of you about our new product. I also have our head of ground mount engineering, Mariano, on the line, who will answer all the nerdy stuff that's way over my head. And yeah, I think we'll just dive right in.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
There he is. See? In engineering speak. I love it. This is our agenda today, so shouldn't take up too much of your time, and we should have a ton of time for Q&A afterwards. So we're going to go just do a quick company overview for those of you that don't know us, and then we'll go to some updates on our CoreFlex product. Then there'll be some engineering stuff that Mariana will speak on, We'll talk about some foundations and how our guide that BayWa has access to can really help progress and help you select the right foundation for your project, and then we'll lead into the Q&A at the end. So polar racking. So we are Canadian born and raised, started in Mississauga in 2009. We have a heavy presence in Alberta, Ontario, and a whole bunch of other provinces in Canada, as well as the upper Northeast in the United States, where we have really started to take off on our single access tracker, as well as our carport system. Our goal is to deliver just a turnkey solution for you, whether it be utility scale, commercial scale, large residential, ground mount solutions for, I guess, your solar initiative. We provide a full, easy experience, start to finish, all the way from foundations with our incorporation of our partners at PRI, all the way through engineering to delivery. We're one of the only companies in North America that has the ability to do all of that in-house. And we are the largest and I think only still remaining utility scale provider, commercial and utility scale provider of racking in Canada. So I guess we'll just keep going. I don't know if this is in the way, but it's okay. We have a few products. The product obviously that we're going to talk more about today is our Core Flex, which is farm scale, smaller, 500 kilowatt and under fixed tilt racking. Then we have a core product, our core product, which is 500 kilowatts all the way up to 500 megawatts or larger of our fixed tilt, fully customizable ground mount system. We provide any sort of foundation that you can imagine. We've become one of North America's leaders, I would say, in carport construction. And our single axis tracker is slowly, or has in the past slowly picked up, but now it's becoming rapid. There's rapid growth in our single axis tracker product line, which is incredible. And we should have our first installation here in Canada this year. Why Core Flex and why Polar? So again, for northern climates, we are the leader. We are born and raised in Canada in environments that I would say are different than almost anywhere else in the world. And spending almost 15 years in that environment has given us the ability to design, build, and engineer solutions built for here. Competitors from all over the world have tried to come in and put in their racking and their designs, and then when they meet something called frost heave, things kind of all go out by the wayside. So that's to start. There's a whole bunch of other, great reasons why we are where we are and why I would recommend Core Flex to you. Our product is galvanized to G90. It's a fully turnkey solution. It's pre-engineered. Even the foundations are pre-engineered from our team at PRI. We do our best to minimize the number of posts. We have an outstanding integrated wire management option. With the slope rating, you can minimize the amount of civil work you have to do, and everything is stamped for the province that you're in, as well as certified for grounding and bonding in Canada. This slide we're very proud of. This is based on the storm last year that happened, the hurricane that hit New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and PEI. We have a lot of work out there, and we have a lot of work that's still up and running out there. There are competitive products that weren't as successful as we were in navigating the high wind loads, rain, and varying weather that we were able to combat and overcome. And so I'm very proud to tell you that all of the racking that we have out there is up and running and wasn't affected majorly in comparison to some of our competitors. So this is a kitted rack. It's a 2x8 rack. portrait, and it basically just pulls out of a sea can, or BayWa has a ton of this product in stock. You can just go pick it up, chuck it in the back of your truck, and off you go. That's a pre-stamped racking package. Again, it's currently available in a whole host of provinces. If you're in a place that we don't cover, we will work very hard to get that stamped for you. The East and West purlins have pre-punched holes, not only for wire management, but for drainage as well. So you just pop all of your wiring into the purlin, throw a zip tie around, then you're done. I'm an electrician by trade, so if I use words like puke your wires in, I apologize, but that's just what we say. Again, BayWa has stock, and they are a great partner of ours, and we really appreciate the work they do and the help they give us in getting this product out there. I'm going to hand this off to Mariano because this is where all the nerdy stuff comes in. That is way over my head. I'm just a sales guy. So the numbers, the math, and anything that you need to know, Mariano has the answers for you. So I'll let you take over.
Guys, we actually just have a quick question.
Yeah.
It says, what are your thoughts about installing your product in Nova Scotia, very close to the ocean, 200 meters away, for salt spray issues on the metal framework? I usually use aluminum for the reason to be near the salt.
Right. Again, I would say that our product has been shown to withstand the wind loads and the rain loads. However, our product carries a 10-year warranty that does not include corrosion resistance. So, you know, it's pretty heavy-duty steel. However, being near the salt, in all open honesty, it's going to corrode. We can, you know, it's galvanized to G90, which probably isn't enough to be 200 meters or feet away from the ocean. But I would love to talk to you more about kind of what your expectations are and what we need to do to have a look at those. So feel free to reach out to me afterwards.
Correct. Just to chime in a little bit further on this, I mean, when we talk about corrosion protections, obviously the first layer, the first line of defense is the coating that we apply on the steel. The second line of defense is maintenance, right? So as the corrosion appear, grinding or cleaning the corrosion and respraying with cold galvanized type of thing, right? So it's a bit of a cost management or budgeting, if you wish, and what the approach would be to survive that environment. And just to reiterate, yes, 200 meters from the coast where you would expect spraying from salt water, it's a very corrosive environment just for any metal beyond aluminum or stainless steel, right? So additional maintenance will be required even when you go with higher levels of
Mariano, we're having a really hard time hearing you. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay, let me see if
I'll say that if you didn't hear him.
Any better now?
Yeah, there you go, a little better.
Okay. Okay. So okay, let's carry on then. Thanks everybody. Good afternoon. I guess my name Mariano Gualtieri, engineer manager for the ground mount product in Polar Racking. Been with Polar for more than a little bit over a year, but in general on photovoltaics for over 12 years now. I guess we're going to jump into our design, our solution, or our product, what it is, the Core Flex. And for those that are familiar with the system that I've used it before, just so we can learn what's new and what we're keeping from the previous system. For those that are new to the system, just hang tight. We'll go over every aspect, so you'll get familiar at the end of the presentation. As if you used this before, it's very straightforward, right? So to start with, just to list all the features that we're keeping for a racking, which is all the adjustability features that it's been proven useful during installation, just to overcome those errors or minor slope grading changes or piles moving as you drive them because of rocks or whatever other conditions, right? So all those portions remain the same. Up-down adjustability, plus or minus 2 inches. North-south adjustability, 3.5 inch, right, for alignment purpose. East-west, plus or minus 2 inches. And then very important, although it says a small number of 3/4 of an inch on the east-west bracket, but this is enough to allow you to tackle your 10% grade terrain, right? So that's very, very important. Next over is also on gradient tolerance, like we said, 10% tolerance, right? This is achieved exclusively by that last bracket that we talked about. 3% maximum intertable slope that we account when designing our system, and 5%, no more than 5% change between tables. This is to avoid two tables touching each other or closing that gap as they join into a valley type of thing. Next one over, please. Okay, so continuing with the features that we keep from our system, leading edge tolerance. This is very important to understand that when we talk leading edge features or tolerances, it's average leading edge. We're not looking for the largest distance to the ground or the shorter distance to the ground, rather than an average throughout the table. And we maintain that tolerance plus or minus 100. The feedback is that that's plenty for the adjustability as a tolerance on that feature. Racking tilt, we're also keeping the traditional 30-degree tilt. And the reason for this is that this is a very, very important point, right? So you have a steep enough angle that you can shed snow, right? And minimize loading on your system and your foundation that way, but also not that steep that you catch too much wind from the back or from the front, right? So it's a good compromise performance-wise for the latitude where we are. 30 degrees it's very reasonable, right? And like I said before, a good balance between snow and wind, right? Keeping the loads at a minimum. Right, foundation selection. We'll dive in further later on, but basically we can tie to any type of foundation, which means that we can work on any type of soil that we can encounter as we develop this project. So going from ground screw, helical pile, driven post, grouted post, that's all available on, and we maintain that same range as we did before. Next one, please. So here we're now stepping into what's new, right? So for those that have installed this system, probably they'll recognize some of the feedback that is being given to us. We incorporate here, right? So the first change is a top clamp with integrated bonding and grounding, right? So there's no longer a need to handle that additional bonding washer. Now, but just attaching the clamp, it's rated and is certified for that purpose, and it's certified with this system. So all your grounding is taken care from the module point of view through that method, right? Smaller splice bracket, that seems like a small change. But the previous version of the splice bracket was longer, more cumbersome. There was some feedback in terms of aligning during installation. So basically what we did here is adopted the bracket that we use on another product line or core line for utility mount system, utility scale.
You're still coming through muffled. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not sure why that is.
Okay, let me see if I can reset my audio for a second. I'm gonna change the audio here.
So basically, we've gone from a larger splice bracket to a smaller splice bracket, which what Mariano was saying, although it's a very small change, it's very important, as now it's just one. There's only one bracket. We don't have to contend with several different parts for several different sizes. So it makes it easier for us, makes it easier for you.
Sorry guys, is it any better, the audio now?
Much.
Better?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully it'll stay good for the rest. Okay, so let's go for the next. Apologize for that, but there's any further clarification, we can always go back and clarify if need. Right, this is to continue. I guess this is yet another very important point on the change, and has to do with module width and length, right? To take on the larger format modules, right? So for these, we're expanding on the width to 1160, and the other slide that we can see the overall height for the module to 2600, right? So this will allow us to tackle all the new format 550, on the 500 range module, watt module, sorry. For these, basically we did a bit of a study and look at everything that we quote on the last year and a half, and in particular attention to all those larger formats, right? The most common is the 2.2 meters by 1.1 meter. So that's the number that repeat the most, right? So we certainly make sure that we can capture that. There's a few odd module sizes way beyond these dimensions that we're not capturing here, because it's very small usage. I mean, we can count with the fingers on one hand how many jobs we've done with those extra large formats. There's some particular challenge on that on the industry. The normal trend is more towards the 2.2 meters by 1.1. So basically with that, we're ensuring that 80-90% of the modules available today on the market can fit on this product line. Next one over. Yeah, so additionally, because of the larger formats, we have to increase adjustability features on our rails to account obviously for distances in between modules, and also very important for the green zones for clamping on the modules, right? So the north-south, we're adding additional adjustability, so you can adjust all your east-west to make it, to find a proper or an approved range for module mounting. So you will not have issues with the module manufacturing warranty that way, right? That's a very small feature, but very important. Like I said, when it comes to module warranty, you want to make sure that you're always on the green zone as per the module manufacturer. And the other feature that is new is going to be the single post conversion kit. So up until now, we offer like 90% of our sales is on this product line is dual post. Now we have a single post kit solution that we're going to launch with this new product. So basically, your foundation extend above ground, typically a helical pile or a driven round post, right? So there's some bracketry that connect to the top with braces, and the top table is the same. It's just a copy. It's the exact same. You just replace the two legs for the single leg with the brakes. Next one. I think at this point I'll hand it over to you again, Chris.
Sure.
Guys, we have a couple of questions here, if that's okay.
Yep.
Yes.
A few things. How big of screw pile posts will be needed for your 2x8 frames?
In terms of diameters, we're typically looking at a 5.5 inch diameters.
And they're asking, will this support 550 watt modules? I believe that's a yes. 1134 by 2285.
Absolutely, yes.
And when will the conversion kit be available?
We're estimating to wrap everything on the engineering side by mid-April. So I would suppose that shortly after that we'll start the distribution.
Great. And do these work with bifacial modules?
Yes, all our racking system work with bifacial modules. It's important to note, obviously, as opposed to a tracker, there will be always some shading. The bifacial will really rely on diffuse light. So even though you have rails on the back, you don't have 100% exposure. You still have the benefit. You still get the gain of that bifacial module.
Okay.
Hold on, before you go on there, Matthew,
Yep.
I'll say this too. So part of the updated core flexes, we have the ability now to do 3.5-inch diameter piles as well. Or sorry, a 9 to 10 foot long 3.5-inch screw pile. And as well, what we can do, just to touch base back on the galvanization question, for larger sites, you know, on a site-by-site basis, but I would say probably around 500 kilowatts, what we can do is increase the thickness of the galv. Yeah, but you know, we can talk about that outside of this. And then lastly, we've updated we've moved forward our release date. So if you want it now, you can get it now, the conversion kit and anything else.
Great. What angles will be offered with monopile installation?
We still recommend the same 30-degree tilt. We don't want to move away from that for the same reasons, for snow shading and wind loadings, right?
Great. Is the dual support stronger than the single?
Ideally, it is the same strength. There is some advantage on the dual system, and there is some advantage for the single leg system. And it comes down to terrain conditions, right? So, and what type of foundation you can put. For example, a single post system cannot be done with a ground screw. You need either a helical pile or a driven post, right? So depending on your geotech assessment, right? If ground screw is your solution, you are kind of limited to a dual leg, right? The dual leg also gives an additional advantage that we haven't talked yet, but that is being also used very often, is when it comes to a ballast system, right? So for areas where you cannot penetrate the soil, whether it's a landfill or just don't want to get into there with a driven foundation, there is the option of the concrete or geo ballast as well with gapping baskets. That could be only achieved through the dual leg system.
Okay, thanks guys.
Yeah, you bet. So just as kind of a quick review, I mean, this is all available both online through BayWa and through myself and anyone else at Polar, but you can get any of these reference materials. So a data sheet, the installation manuals, the stamped drawings, our foundation guide, which nobody else in the industry has, and our warranty document as well. I think that it's a really strong point to let everybody know that like our foundation guide is pretty much tells you everything that you need to know, and makes everybody a geotechnical engineer for about 5 minutes. So yeah, it's great. It's a great resource to use. I'll just continue on here. Here's some of our tech specs, just a quick, you know, run around. We have a 10-year warranty, again, not really inclusive of corrosion but again, nobody's is for saltwater environments, but there are things that we can do, which, you know, for bigger sites, increase the galv thickness, and in smaller sites, you know, just like Mariano said, you can fit it into your O&M schedule. This is all available through BayWa, myself, our website, whatever you need. So I'm not going to spend too much time just repeating information that we can all read. So This is just an example of what our pre-engineered drawings look like. These are, again, readily available from anybody on this chat, and especially from your team members over at BayWa. So, small overview for just so you understand what we were talking about with the east-west beams, the brackets and clamps, the north-south beam, all of it. It's all there. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot to this. Again, this is a very high quality system that doesn't require a lot of maintenance, is very strong, tested, tried and tested, especially in Canada, all over the place, as well as in the upper northeast of the US and in the Caribbean. A ton of this in the Caribbean, which I am forever jealous that I'm not the sales guy for the Bahamas or area. Okay, foundation details. So here's some of the foundations that we have used in the past that are available, that the engineering is available for, as well as the supply is available for through BayWa and through Polar. Again, a lot of this information coming up is going to be very heavy and way over my head as far as the actual math behind it. However, it's all taken care of in our foundation guide, which again, nobody else has. So that's just an advantage. That's a big attaboy for Polar. We have a very easy and functional wire management system with holes in our purlins for cable ties, cable management, as well as drainage. So it's a pretty no-nonsense system. If the guy that you've asked to install this can't figure out the wire management features, then you should probably have a stern talk with him. This is where kind of we get into what would be the particulars in our foundation design manual. We take into consideration pretty much everything that you need to build an appropriate foundation for what you're doing. Everything from micropiles, helicals, ground screws, driven round, pour in place, ballasted, a whole bunch of other stuff. We include the snow and the wind loads, and then we show you, the guide shows you how to determine, basically the frost depth, which if you're not from Canada, or at least a small section of the upper United States, northern United States, then you have no idea what it is, fortunately. Just a table full of math. All of this is in the guide, and all of this leads you to a very simple conclusion on to what size of pile you require and what loads you're going to incur. Here's a great example. So, all this information that we've been talking about, this is all in the guide as well, will show you that their snow load and your wind load in Edmonton is, like their hockey team currently, unfortunately, is a bit better than Calgary, is prime for our racking. So blue good, red bad. Pincher Creek, too windy. I went to school in Lethbridge. I had to deal with it. You come out of your house leaning one way or the other. So in Pincher Creek, it's too windy, combined with the amount of snow they get for our racking. There's not many places in Canada that you cannot use this racking. I would say probably 97% of areas in Canada are acceptable to use the Core Flex system. The remaining 3% cannot, and those can be covered by our Core fixed tilt system. Again, if this site is over 500 kilowatts. All of this stuff is all of this information is readily available. We pull this from the Alberta Building Code, and it's updated as often as the building codes are, so never. Just kidding. No, this is all based on the 2015 or 2019 building code for wherever your jurisdiction is. Here's how we get frost depth designations and determinations. This is all included in the guide. The guide will point you how to get here. These are all numbers that, you know, I can read them. I don't know what to do with them. The guide is all there to point you in the direction of how to navigate this. It's pretty straightforward. Again, some site evaluation, all covered in the guide. I can't express this enough that I don't have the education to back this up, but the person the group who filled out the guide and wrote the guide, they definitely do. So if there are any questions over and above what the guide, our foundation guide presents, and that BayWa can't answer and Polar can't answer, then we will defer you to PRI, our geotechnical engineering firm, and they can have a look at your site. Obviously, if it's a special circumstance or if it's something that isn't covered in a normal foundation scenario, then obviously there will be some additional cost and testing that is required. But for, again, most of the soil in Canada, we've either been there and done it or have the ability to engineer to it. Again, just the ease of use of this, especially for various types of soil conditions in Canada, can't be understated. You have groundwater, yep, you got a couple options. You have bedrock, you got a couple options. You have obstructions, which is Southern Alberta, you have a couple options. And that's it. So I guess I just want to say thank you for all 73 of you listening. Thanks to Mariano and thanks to Matthew and Emma for setting this up. Thanks to BayWa for allowing us our time to put this out here and to kind of explain to you and run through what we do and how we have expanded our range on the Core Flex. And I guess now is the time to answer any questions.
Yeah, we've got a few more. Can this racking be used everywhere in the US?
It is designed for Canadian loading system primarily, right? That doesn't mean that it cannot be used in the US. That only means that we need to look at the loading from the US loading point of view, right? So we have to do that equivalency. We'll have to check if we still fit within the parameters that we designed for, right? So it certainly is designed for high snow and for the winds that we see in Canada. South of the border, things doesn't change dramatically. So in essence, yes, but it's not stamped for it, right? So that's a good point to make here, as is pre-stamped for any jurisdiction in Canada. It's already engineered and approved for it. It is not necessarily the case for US. It will have to be stamped for that particular.
We do have the ability to stamp it in the US, and on the engineer in Mariano says that we need to consider all the loads and everything, but as a sales guy, I will say that if it can work in Canada, it can work in the US. So again, we'd have to confirm, just like Mariano said, but we can stamp it in any US state. So yes.
Great. What is the highest wind load that can be achieved?
On speaking in terms of Canadian building code, we are on the 66, and we go back to this graph, for example. So this is how the system works, right? So we have wind loads and snow loads, right? And everything that is left or south of the blue line, it's gain, and everything that is north of that blue line, it's red, right? So we can have up to 0.7 kPa with relatively low snow, 1.5 kPa of snow, right? Or we can have very high snow with lower wind levels, type of thing, right? Again, 90+% of Canada locations will fit within these parameters, right? So there's a handful, like we explained before, that are outside this area, very specific regions, and for those areas we can review on a location based, on a job by job basis if needed.
Yeah, and usually in areas of high wind, there's not a lot of snow. So as long as the wind, like, I mean, just like the graph, demonstrates, as long as there's not a ton of wind, like extreme wind, the snow really isn't relevant, because that's, 6 kPa is a whole lot of snow. And there's not many places in Canada that get 6 kilopascals of snow.
Great. Are there standard top plates for the helical piles, and can they be bolted on, or do they have to be welded?
I'm not sure to understand top plate for helical pile. In the case of ground mount, for example, dual leg, sorry, the flange is needed for that connection to the racking, right? So you can attach. You need the flange on the helical pile itself, so you can attach to the foot bracket, which is basically a flange connection for the racking, right?
Yeah, and there's, I mean, I think what I understand is, do you have to weld or do you not have to weld? And the answer is there's no welding with this, so it's all bolt on.
Correct. So yeah. So if we're talking on the foot bracket, it's come already welded, and it's bolted, connected to the racking, and is bolted, connected to the foundation.
And I see, Ryan, you've got quite a few questions. We'll take that offline around bifacial modules. If you just want to give us a call, we'd be happy to answer those questions. And I think that's it for now. So thanks again, guys, for helping us educate everybody on this new product. Really appreciate it. Once again, Polar will be at our Vancouver Roadshow coming up in April. So if you'd like to meet them in person, it's a great opportunity, along with our other vendors. If you don't have a web shop account already, I'd like to encourage you to establish one. You can go on there, you can find all the specs, pricing, inventory, install manuals, place orders on there, etc. We will work to get this pricing up on the new product. The older design product is still on there. We'll work to get this on there for April 1st area. This was recorded. It'll come out in our monthly newsletter. It'll also be on our YouTube channel. And if you have more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of our staff. We have plenty of inside sales staff as well as outside sales staff waiting to answer any questions. So thanks again, everybody, and have a great day. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.